Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today what we're going to talk about is Mr. Hogan's running the knee at the ball. There's been articles out there by Jody Vasquez or whatever, but when Hogan ran at the ball, it's a little bit different than what most people think, because most golfers are going to get up here and they're going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to get set up. Everything's going to be in this great position. And then all of a sudden you're going to go to the top. There's the recenter. And then all of a sudden that's what should happen is we run at the ball. But what a lot of people do is they're like, okay, I'm at the top, I'm going to run the knee at the ball, and what this is going to cause is early extension, and it's going to cause all kinds of problems because you run at the ball. Now, the big part about this is most golfers, they play the ball way far too back in their stance. So a rule of thumb for where you should play the ball, if you take your belt buckle excuse me, if you take your belt buckle and you get set up, and now we're going to point the rifle where we want to go, my belt buckle is pretty much in the center of my body, okay? And most recreational players, they keep inching it further and further and back. You have to, just a rule of thumb from here on out, the ball will never, ever, ever get on the trail side of your belt buckle. It's always going to be on the lead side of your belt buckle, around, like Mr. Hogan said, it'd be, off of the left heel. And then what you're really going to find out is off of the left heel is a good starting point. But as the clubs get longer, Mr. Hogan said the ball would move further away from us, which is true. But you'll actually, when you put your driver, you can move your driver up in your stance further than where you'd place it standard off of your heel. That's just my opinion, because when that happens, you get more time to rotate the body, and we're only talking milliseconds or whatever. But remember that. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever let anything, when you get set up, to get on the trail side of your belt buckle. It's just a bad deal, because your club face will stay open. All kinds of bad things will happen. Now let's talk about running at the ball. So all of a sudden, you're at the top and you're like, okay, I've done my rebalance move. And then you're thinking, run at the ball. Well, most of you, as I just explained, not most of you, but probably a majority, have that ball way too far back in your stance. So when you run at the ball, it causes you to go into early extension because the ball's not up here. There's nothing to run to because the ball's too far back. So when you run at it, you go into early extension and all these bad things happen. Okay, so look at it this way. If the ball's up here, I need to run at the ball this way. But if the ball is too far back in my stance, then I end up running at it this way, and it causes me to go into early extension. Okay, so let's look at this a different way. So I'm set up, I'm here, I run at the ball. Look what just happened, because the majority of you have the ball too far back in your stance. But if you really run at the ball correctly, see how I'm staying in my posture? Like some of you may have seen the sports seat stick, whatever, or the shooting stick for the people in the UK. It's running at the ball because the ball is on the lead side of my belt buckle. It gives me that feeling that I can run to the ball instead of having the ball too far back where I go into early extension. Now, how is this done? You have to think about this a different way, and there's a great section in the master class that I call learn how to become explosive and running out of the block like a world-class sprinter. Okay, think about this for a minute. If you're gonna try to win a race, all right, you're in the block, let's say you're some sort of Olympic sprinter or whatever, you've got your foot on the block and you're ready to come out, and then the second you come out, you've got this explosive type of, hey, I'm gonna move up and I'm gonna start running down my line. Well, think of it this way. If I was like this and that golf ball is in front of me, I'm not trying to hit the golf ball towards you. I'm trying to hit the golf ball over here. So if I come like this world-class sprinter and I go forward, I'm screwed. You're absolutely screwed. But if I can say, okay, like a world-class sprinter, I'm going to run this knee at the golf ball. Look what just happened, because the golf ball is up in my stance. It's not on the trail side of the belt buckle. So now all of a sudden when I make this move to run at the ball, let me go through the entire sequence of the swing just with the body. So all of a sudden there's my rebound. Now I'm going to run at that ball. Now as a world-class sprinter, I'm not going to go like this, and even though the ball's up here in front of me, I'm not going to run to it and go into early extension because I'm going to lose the race. But if you can think of it like I'm here, oh, I ran at the ball, now I've got to keep coming through, because that's exactly what a world-class sprinter is going to do. And when you can start understanding your lower body is so important in your golf swing, because you've heard me say it 100 times. The shell video, it starts with the knees, starts with the hips, all these wonderful things. But we have really got to learn what this run at the ball sequence is all really about. Because we're like, okay, we're going to make our trigger. Then we're going to go to the top. Now we're just worried about the body. Here comes my recenter move. Now from here, I'm going to do this in slow motion. When I run at the ball, you can see how this knee is starting to run at the ball as I'm getting out of the way. And the cool part is, okay, think about this in a logical manner for a second. Most people that play golf, they think that, okay, we're set up. Now, we know about the sports stick, and you can check that out. It's pretty funny for this as an example. I put that link in there for the sports stick, and it was supposed to be some, whatever Amazon affiliate thing. They said, no, Chris, you cannot do that because your website doesn't match up to whatever our credentials are. So anybody that buys that now, like I said before, I don't care about the money because I'd only made $1 if whatever, but now I'm not going to make anything. But still, go out and get the sports stick because it's really going to teach you so many great things. But anyways, when you're here and you start running at that golf ball, I am not trying to turn my hips level, or I am not trying to take this left side and turn. It's just not going to happen, because that is not the way that Mr. Hogan was swinging a golf club. When Mr. Hogan swung the golf club, he would be like this. He's going to run at the ball, and then he's going to come up. Look at this. My belt buckle's facing you. My chest is facing you. But in real motion, it's going to be more like this, because see how everything's pointing over here now and all this stuff. But I made no attempt to turn my hip. Zero. Absolutely zero attempt. Now think about this a different way. If I'm the world-class sprinter and I get up here and I'm like, okay, I'm going to run at the ball. I'm going to come up. Now it's this up, this thrust this way, which is really an acute angle change that Mr. Hogan had in his pivot, okay? But when you get like this and you're like, I'm a world-class sprinter, I've got to run to my target, this is what you're going to do. You are never, ever are you going to lose the race. You are never going to go this way and try to run over here, and you're never going to try to go this way and run over here. You're going to say, I have got to run, and you guys have heard me talk about the 7.5. It is extremely important. So all of a sudden we're here, there's my 7.5, which is the downswing plane. It shifts from the backswing plane. So all of a sudden we're here, I'm going to run out of the block, I'm running down the 7.5, and look what just happened to my hips. Because a world-class sprinter would be like, let's say it was the golf swing, we got to the top, my foot's back. A world-class sprinter, if I'm running to you, is going to go this way, and then they're going to come up. There's never going to be any of this crazy rotation. They're going to be this way, and if they come out of that block, they're going to be like running right to you, and then eventually their pelvis will extend up to get them into their running gait, the gait being the way the legs move back and forth, okay? So when you can understand, hey, I'm back here like this, and I'm going to be explosive coming out of this. Guess what? It's the same thing with Ben Hogan, but we have to look at it a different way. So if we can relate the downswing lower body movement to understanding how we're running out of this block, really simple to understand what he meant by the feeling of I'm running the knee at the golf ball. So when he gets here to the top, it's like, There we go. And I'm running the knee in the direction of the golf ball, but then all of a sudden, the running of the knee allows the body to rotate up, to extend up with the pelvis, okay? Because a lot of people, when they get here, they go into early extension. You're extending this pelvis up, which makes sense, because I just said we're going to extend the pelvis up. But when you go this way, you're screwed, because you're not going to be here and go like this. You'd lose the race. You'd absolutely lose the race. But if you get here and you're like, okay, right there, there's my rebalance in slow motion. So let's do this again. Super, super slow motion. So Mr. Hogan's here, comes back, gets to the top. There's the recenter move. Now I'm running the knee at the golf ball, but what that really means is I'm running out of the block, and look what happens to my body. It will extend up. I'm all the way on the toe, and I have made no attempt, zero, to try to turn my hips to the left. A lot of you need to understand this. Mr. Hogan had the best pivot in the world. Period. Better than anybody that's ever played the game. Why? Because when he is at the top, now this is all body stuff. We'll cover how the arms work with this in the next video. But now I'm going to run the knee at the golf ball. And when I've rebalanced, run the knee at the golf ball, everything is here. I am loaded. I can do all this stuff. My right side is going to drive and push. I'm going to be like this. And then all of a sudden, it's like I started to run the knee at the golf ball. And then all of a sudden, when I come up, the pelvis is coming up as it's working around. Okay, because you have to think about this a different way. Mr. Hogan said the lower body, in his opinion, is the most important part of the golf swing. Why? Because a second ago, I was talking about his pivot, right? Mr. Hogan's pivot did not go like this. It did not go in this rotational type of movement. And it damn sure didn't go rotation this way, swing the arms by, and let that pull me to the top. Everything Mr. Hogan was doing, his body was always leading the way for the hand path to follow. His pivot, why was it so good? Watch this very closely. Gets here, goes to the top, first move to run the knee at the golf ball, and then all of a sudden, when he's running that knee at the golf ball, here come the hands, they're right there. The second everything gets to right there where it's loaded, because I'm running the knee at the golf ball, it is a domino effect. The knee's running at the golf ball, and this left hip levers up. It's not me trying to push off the ground. It's not me trying to jump up in the air. It is this, the pelvis that he is making go this way, acute angle change, bam. Just like this, the club would still be back. But now, here it comes. Here comes this acute angle change. Wham! Everything comes this way, like I'm going to pop it with my pelvis, which is basically the same thing as running out of the block like a world-class sprinter. So all of a sudden, I've got to run this way, not running to the camera. So I get here, coming out of the block. Now, in order for me to get out of that block, look at this acute angle change that is going to happen in my lower body to enable me to run in the direction where I want to go. Okay, so practice this stuff. It's pretty easy. Get here. At the top, do this in the slowest motion you can. So you're at the top, there comes the recentering move, and when there comes the recentering move, see how my heel is off the ground? It's not up in the air like this, it has moved like that, okay? So it's kind of rolled in. So all of a sudden, when that happens, watch this. It's rolled in, there's my balance, there's my plant. Now the second that foot goes down, or the heel, because it's rolled, it's rolling, it's not going up and down like this, but the second that heel goes down, now I am running out of the block. And when I do this, see how the knee's going this direction? It's not going in this direction. So just practice in slow motion. You're like, this is great. Oh my goodness, that is wonderful. Now, all of a sudden, it's this explosive right side that gets the left side out of the way without you trying to turn it, and then you extend and come up. Hopefully that's going to help, guys. We'll look for you in the next video.